He's a ladies' man.
So he's a player.
Or like an all-star.
The ladies' man. Women want him, men want to be him.
Ladies' man, man's man, man about town.
This archetype of the handsome, charming lady killer has worked his wiles across centuries of literature, film, and television.
How you doing?
Although the ladies' man may have changed up his game over the years, there are a few things that will always identify him. He's almost supernaturally charming, with a charisma that puts his targets at ease.
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
He's extraordinarily sexual, focused at all times on his next conquest, and confident of his own prowess.
I give women pleasure. It is, of course, the greatest pleasure they will ever experience.
He's unattainable, which only makes him more attractive to women.
You're irresistible.
And the envy of every other man.
Jesus, Don, even in this place, you're doing better than us.
He's also dangerous. Falling for the ladies' man often ends with broken hearts and hurt feelings, if not something more sinister.
And all he did was say how it had killer legs and how he wanted to photograph them. And things just got completely out of hand.
More than anything, the ladies' man is defined by his relentless drive to pursue women.
There isn't a woman that I've met that I haven't fallen in love with for 10 minutes or 10 years.
But in more recent years, pop culture has increasingly asked why he is the way he is, and what he's really chasing after.
Yeah, Mommy wouldn't let me play soccer, and Daddy, oh, he hit me. So that's who I am. That's why I do what I do.
Here's our take on what makes the ladies' man, how he's evolved over time, and whether it's possible for this most incorrigible of characters to ever change his ways.
I'm Sam Malone, by the way.
Oh, I've heard about you in France.
Oh, yeah. You follow baseball?
No, stewardesses.
You're watching
The Take.
Thanks for watching, and be sure to share and subscribe.
This video is brought to you by Skillshare, an online learning community where millions of people come together to take classes that fuel their creative journey. If you are one of the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description below, you'll get 2 free months of Skillshare Premium. So join today and start exploring your creativity. The ladies' man is as old as storytelling itself. Early civilizations believed in the incubus, a demon who had sex with sleeping women to steal their life force. In ancient Greece, the god Zeus was the ultimate ladies' man, sleeping with goddesses and mortals alike, sometimes even transforming himself into an animal just to get a little more action.
I turn into animals and have sex with chicks all the time. I'm like Tiger Woods, only an actual tiger.
In the 17th century, the ladies' man became known by another name, Lothario, after the playboy character in Miguel de Cervantes' 1605 novel, Don Quixote.
He was a Lothario, with amazing capacity. If promotion was won in bed, he'd have been a field marshal.
In 1630, playwright Tirso de Molina gave the world Don Juan, a shapeshifter who could change his appearance and language to seduce any woman he wants.
You swore you'd remember my kiss till the end of time. That was 4 months ago.
For a moment, I was blinded by your beauty.
And in the 18th century, an Italian libertine named Casanova became so infamous for his liaisons that his name too would become synonymous with womanizer.
Friends call me Nova. As in, Casanova?
These ladies' men were often regarded as wicked. Casanova was jailed for blasphemy and affronts to decency. Don Juan was portrayed as a devil. Mozart's opera version, Don Giovanni, ends with him literally being dragged to hell. But as social mores loosened, the ladies' man became a more romantic figure, especially in early film. Rudolph Valentino played a series of dashing, heroic lady killers in the 1920s, earning him nicknames like the Latin Lover. The passionate, noble rogue, as played by Douglas Fairbanks in movies like The Mark of Zorro and The Thief of Baghdad, quickly became Hollywood's dominant role for leading men. With 1926's Don Juan starring John Barrymore, and later 1948's The Adventures of Don Juan starring Errol Flynn, even the most famous sinner in literature was transformed into a swashbuckling hero.
Some men prefer the conquest of beauty to the conquest of a throne.
For Fairbanks and Flynn, their roles were only enhanced by their actors' off-screen reputations as womanizers. The same could be said of two of the leading ladies' men of the 1930s. Clark Gable, described as an unshaven he-man by Variety, broke out with his roguish turn in 1932's Red Dust.
Now, wait a minute, Fred.
Come here.
Hey!
Gable's manly swagger and seductive way with words led directly to his most famous role, Rhett Butler in Gone with the Wind.
You should be kissed and often, and by someone who knows how.
That part was turned down by fellow ladies' man and one of Gable's biggest rivals, Gary Cooper, who'd established himself as, in the words of critic Anne Helen Peterson, the kind of man who was volatile, full of honor, a bit of a secret romantic, yet still and always the hero.
You're just as sure of yourself as ever, aren't you?
Like Gable, Fairbanks, and Flynn, Cooper only enhanced his reputation by being, as Peterson wrote, one of the most notorious philanderers in Hollywood. In the 1940s, amid the anxiety and alienation of World War II, this romantic ideal of the ladies' man retreated into the shadows of film noir, eclipsed by a different kind of masculine icon, Humphrey Bogart's world-weary cynic who nevertheless proves irresistible.
What about us?
We'll always have Paris.
In the 50s, it was the soulful, wounded men played by Marlon Brando and James Dean who captured hearts, not the wealthy playboys portrayed by Cary Grant or Rock Hudson. For a moment, the ladies' man seemed out of fashion. But then came film's most famous ladies' man.
Bond. James Bond.
Introduced in 1962's Dr. No, the secret agent 007, first played by Sean Connery, was handsome, debonair, deadly with a gun and a quip.
Looking for shells?
No, I'm just looking.
And of course, never misses with women.
What are we going to do now?
Well, we can swim or,
The New York Times described James Bond as wish fulfillment, a man doing everything and everybody that an idle daydreamer might like to do.
That's quite a nice little nothing you're almost wearing.
With his liberated lifestyle and charged libido, Bond came to embody the spirit of the swinging 60s. With the rise of blaxploitation, African Americans finally got their own ladies' men.
Who's the black private dick that's a sex machine to all the chicks?
And films like 1971's Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song quickly made up for years spent neglecting black sexuality.
First things first.
The liberated ladies' men of blaxploitation were highly sexualized and almost superhuman in their prowess.
Hey, where the hell are you going, Shaft?
To get laid. Where the hell you going?
But amid the sexual liberation and second-wave feminism of the 60s and the 70s, we also started to see the dark, empty side of the ladies' man. Michael Caine's Alfie's philandering ways leave him utterly alone.
What's it all about? Know what I mean?
In Saturday Night Fever, Tony Manero may be a strutting disco king, but the women in his life see right through him.
You're a cliche. You're nowhere. On your way to no place.
Warren Beatty's hairdresser in Shampoo can have any woman.
I f*** them all. I mean, that's what I do. That's why I went to beauty school.
But not what he really wants. Increasingly, the ladies' man seemed less sexy than sleazy, and a little bit sad.
Why don't you come up to my apartment? I think I have something you can put on.
Like what?
Like a Mantovani record?
By the 80s, pop culture seemed to be actively punishing ladies' men like Richard Gere's Hustler in American Gigolo, whose lack of human connection makes it easy to frame him for murder.
Why did you pick me? Nobody cared about you. I never liked you much myself.
Or St. Elsewhere's promiscuous Dr. Bobby Caldwell, who has his face slashed by one of his many one-night stands before he contracts HIV.
I've got AIDS.
The 90s ladies' man often hid behind a veil of hipness or brooding dissatisfaction.
I might do mean things, and I might hurt you, and I might run away without your permission, and you might hate me forever.
But he was also a joke, like Austin Powers' James Bond spoof.
Shall we shag now, or shall we shag later?
Or, of course, Saturday Night Live's The Ladies' Man.
I have been with many fine ladies, and many of them were very skanky. And consequently, the ladies' man has had a few diseases.
The ladies' man had become a cliché. He was a parody, a postmodern construct to be analyzed or imitated.
He never, ever tries to impress the women, but he always gets the girl.
But by the turn of the millennium, the joke wasn't funny anymore. Increasingly, the ladies' men that we met seemed joyless and lost.
I've fornicated with women and discarded them like trash. I've lost my soul.
His sexual pursuits were now seen as a cover for emotional immaturity.
You gotta risk love, Sandra. Risk it. I didn't. Look at me. I'm an empty, lonely ghost of a man.
The ladies' man might appear confident on the outside, but what was happening on the inside?
One day in therapy, I just blurted out, is my problem with women any movie directed by Christopher Nolan? Because yes, women are involved, but it's never really about the women.
While the ladies' man would seem to have only one thing on his mind,
It's my duty to please that booty.
his motivations aren't always the same. As author Betsy Priolo details in her book, Swoon, Great Seducers and Why Women Love Them, there are several different types of ladies' man, each with unique personas, techniques, and psychologies. The most common is what Priolo calls the Darwinian alpha male.
You see that guy? He's the next Donald Trump, except he's younger and much better looking.
Handsome, physically strong, and typically wealthy, these evolutionary studs represent a primal form of attractiveness that the anthropologist Edgar Gregerson says is bound up with social status or skills, strength, bravery, prowess, and similar qualities.
I just want you to know that if all that was left of you was your smile and your little finger, you'd still be more of a man than anyone I've ever met.
James Bond is the quintessential alpha, although he has plenty of company from the billionaire playboys Bruce Wayne and Tony Stark,
You ever lose an hour of sleep your whole life?
Be prepared to lose a few with you.
to Ryan Gosling's master pickup artist in Crazy Stupid Love.
Seriously? It's like you're photoshopped.
Gosling's character is also an example of type 2 of the ladies' man, the player seducer.
What you might call a player.
He hunts women like a soldier, using bravado, flack, and precision strikes, often in the form of a good line.
Did anyone ever tell you that you have the face of a Botticelli and the body of a Degas?
His methods are deliberate and pre-scripted.
Comes down to making out. Whenever possible. Put on side 1 of Led Zeppelin 4.
How I Met Your Mother's Barney Stinson has even compiled a playbook of all his schemes to land women. Hacky lines, complex ruses, even elaborate costumes.
Not one of these is a cheap trick. Except for the cheap trick.
I'm the bass player for Cheap Trick.
A darker form of the ladies' man is the satanic seducer, whom Priolo describes as a cold, calculating sexual profiteer.
Even more treacherous than he is attractive. He has never uttered a single word without some dishonorable intention. Every woman he has successfully pursued has regretted it.
Armed with a sinister leer and lethal charm, these men seduce women as a game, out of arrogance or even malice.
I have no intention of breaking down her prejudices. I want her to believe in God and virtue and the sanctity of marriage and still not be able to stop herself.
Lastly, there's the pathological woman pleaser.
You want to get out of here? I could take you somewhere.
Narcissists, sociopaths, and sex addicts, they are fixated on women through an array of mental maladies, lacking empathy and conscience.
But then there's the morning after, the hangover, and realization that I'm not quite as available as I thought I was the night before.
They can be charming, like Mad Men's Don Draper, or unsavory, like Charlie Sheen's character in 2.5 Men.
If you've got someone to clean your house and do your shopping, and you're getting some action on a regular basis, the only reason you need a wife is if you have some sick compulsion to give away half your stuff.
But they are united by their relentless pursuit of sex, and their inability to form genuine attachment, or to ever be satisfied, because in the end, it's only about themselves.
There's only a few things I really care about in life. My body, my ride, my girls, my porn.
While not every ladies' man is outright disturbed, there is usually something about the character that's flawed or damaged.
I was surprised that you ever loved me.
Some void they are always trying to fill with women.
Trapped on his whirling carousel of suits and cigars and bimbos and booze. Round and round it goes. And where's it all heading? Nowhere.
That void stems from fear. The ladies' man is afraid of being vulnerable, so he doesn't allow himself to get too attached. How I Met Your Mother even gives the ladies' man an origin story, where Barney's hard-hearted womanizing stems from getting his heart broken as a youth.
What about us changing the world together?
Which leads him to conclude that women don't want sweet, genuine guys. They want cruel, rich suits.
He buys me all this cool stuff.
But I love you.
But he has a boat.
More often than not, the ladies' man can only find true fulfillment by learning to love himself. But getting to that point might take changing his focus from women plural to woman singular, and finding the right lady.
You know me so well. You finish all my sentences.
I never thought I was the guy who would sleep with a girl and not even remember her. So from the bottom of my heart, for whatever I did to you, I apologize.
Even for the worst of ladies' men, redemption is never completely out of reach.
I'm on a quest to reclaim the best parts of myself before it's too late.
Most of these characters end up reformed, frequently by uniting them with that right woman.
There's only one person that makes me feel like I can fly. It's you.
In recognizing the one, they finally see how their endless pursuit of empty sex has only left them feeling empty, and they realize that what they've really been searching for all along is someone who makes them feel more than just fleeting physical pleasure.
Where's your little black book? I threw it away.
I don't care about sex anymore. I just want to be married.
But even if individuals can grow out of this phase, can there be redemption for the ladies' man as an archetype? Our culture has shifted dramatically in recent years, moving away from the boys will be boys attitude that once regarded the ladies' man as an amusing, romantic, aspirational character, and excused much of his worst behavior.
In an earlier generation, he would have been admired for being a ladies' man. Lady killer, Lothario. Only recently have those terms become pejorative.
In the Me Too era, the tactics of the ladies' man seem far more creepy than charming, and his objectifying, predatory attitude toward women is difficult to overlook.
The only reason to wait a month for sex is if the girl is 17 years, 11 months old.
In 2015, Daniel Craig said of his character and lady killer James Bond, "Let's not forget that he's actually a misogynist." Breaking with tradition, Craig has even refused to call his on-screen love interests Bond girls, emphasizing the way recent Bond films have surrounded him with very strong women who have no problem putting him in his place.
You don't think this is a very good plan, do you?
So there is a plan.
The ladies' man needs to realize that the game has changed.
Because I just think he would always have to, retract every statement that he made, you know?
Still, if even James Bond can mend his ways, maybe, just maybe, there could be hope for all those other Lotharios, Don Juans, and Casanovas as well.
Then I'm really sad for you. Because I know what you're capable of.
Yeah, well, what if you're wrong?
If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell to get notified about all our new videos. This video is brought to you by Skillshare, an online learning community that offers affordable classes designed to fit your schedule and skill level. When you join Skillshare, you'll get access to workshops taught by top-tier professionals. Plus, you'll receive feedback from fellow creatives who can provide encouragement and inspiration. One Skillshare original you can check out is illustrator Jordan Sondler's class on visual journaling. Whether you're a doodler or a professional artist, you'll learn to express yourself through fun artistic exercises. Right now, Skillshare is offering our viewers 2 months access to all their classes for free. But that's only if you're one of the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description below. So join today and jumpstart your creative journey.